everyone, it's Maddie
and Bea, and today we're going to be doing the final unhaul of the year.
We thought that the last one was going to be, but then we were reevaluating all of our books before the end of the year and decided that there were plenty more that we could donate.
Number 1 is You Go Bernadette by Maria Semple. I think in the last TBR I almost got rid of it and then sort of said to myself, well, if you don't get around to it by the end of the year, then you need to let it go.
I'm getting rid of all my books by Fletcher. I've already got rid of Some Kind of Wonderful, but we didn't record that, so I just thought the other 3 would follow. I've read Billy and Me and You're the One That I Want, and I don't think I'll ever get to Always With Love, which is the sequel to Billy and Me, and after reading her most recent book, I've decided that she's not really an author I want to read anymore.
Next I have the second and the third book in the Blood Red Road trilogy. I'm keeping the first one just because I felt like it could have been a standalone and it was a really interesting story that I wonder if Maddie will want to pick up one day in the future.
Next we have Die For Me and If I Should Die by Amy Plum, and we have the second book on a Kindle. This is a series that we got our hands on absolutely ages ago and we haven't picked up in the 4 years that we've been on BookTube. There was a little bit of hype around it when we first got it, but now it's not really to our taste as it's all about like this intoxicating romance, and that just doesn't sound like us.
Next we have The Reluctant Journal of Henry K. Larson by Susan Nielsen. I really enjoyed We're All Made of Molecules and I'm gonna give Word Nerds a go, but giving this a second look it doesn't sound like something I would want to reach for.
Next is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I've actually already read this one and much prefer the movie.
Next is Frozen Charlotte by Alex Bell, and I read it over Halloween. However, it's not really one I want to keep in my collection. I don't think Maddie's going to want to read it, and it's in a library if she does.
Next is Everneath by Brody Ashton, which is a Hades and Persephone retelling. This is one that we got on our very first trip to Book Barn, which was like 2 years ago, and I haven't read it since then, so I think it's time to realise that I never will. People also recommended this as a read if you liked The Court of Thorns and Roses, and because that is one of our least favourite books, this one isn't for me.
Speaking of which, we're getting rid of book 1 and book 2 in that very series. We still have a copy of this on our Kindle from a NetGalley edition, and this one we got various points through and then decided no. Next I have Half Bad by Sally Green, one of the first books I read on BookTube. I don't hear anyone talking about it anymore. I have read the full trilogy. Had I been reading it now, I would have stopped after the first book.
Next we have The Truth and Lies of Ella Black by Emily Barr, and this one we read about 150 pages of before we decided to DNF it, and if we didn't finish then we shouldn't keep it.
Next is If I Stay by Gail Foreman. I've read this one but Maddie hasn't, and because she hasn't read it in like the 3 years that we've owned it, I don't think she will. She has watched the film and it's available in a library if she ever has that inkling.
Next is The Raven Boys by Maggie Staybarter, which has somehow managed to stay on our shelves even though we've slowly unhauled all the rest of her books. I think we kept this one just because so many other people loved the series, and I just thought maybe I'd reread it and finally realise why it's such a fan favourite, but that's not going to happen, so it's time to finally get rid of it.
Next is The Iron Legends by Julie Kagawa, which is a companion novella book for the Iron Fae series. I am keeping hold of those books for some reason, I'm not sure, maybe in the next year I'll end up getting rid of them, but they're one of the first series I read on BookTube, so I can't see myself getting rid of them. This was just sort of an unnecessary add-on.
Next we have Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, and it's no secret that we're not continuing on with any of her books after this one, so it doesn't make sense to keep such a big book, especially when it takes up so much space on a shelf.
Next I have Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde, and I was keeping this mostly because it was a pink book and it fleshed out our pink shelf, which is so superficial and silly. This is probably one of my most disappointing reads of the year, and I am super sad to see it go because I thought I would enjoy it.
Next is Undercover Princess by Connie Glynn, and I talked about why I didn't really like this one in our most recent video, so if you want to see my thoughts on that, I'll leave that link in the cards.
Next is The Fandom by Anna Day, another one featured in our most recent wrap-up, and I didn't love it, and since it's just an arc like this, I don't have any tie to the cover either to keep it, and I don't think it's something that Maddie will necessarily get on with, but we might give it to Sarah and see what she makes of it.
And finally is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins, and Bea and I have a really bad habit of keeping books that we gave 2 stars, and I think that next year if I give a book 2 or 1 star then it will definitely be coming off my shelves straight away, so this one is going into the hands of someone who would love it a lot more than we did.
So there are all the books that we have finally cleansed from our shelves.
Hopefully next year we'll get into better unhauling habits and just get rid of a book straight away if we don't like it.
Thank you everyone so much for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.
Bye!